Welcome to Business Beyond Borders, the go-to podcast for CPA firms seeking transformative insights. I'm your host, Lawrence Whittam, and with each episode we'll uncover key insights, best practices, and invaluable resources tailored for CPAs. From trending strategies to diving deep into outsourcing and offshoring, our experts will help in all areas of your business. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Business Beyond Borders. So I have a nice episode today with a couple of different people, which is different. Normally I have one person on, so it's cool having a couple of people. And I have Gavin Polizzo here, who's the Chief Sales Officer for Cloud Staff, and who's predominantly based in the Philippines, but they also have some other operations, and they're expanding worldwide in a lot of cases. And then also Rodel Murillo, who has a mixture of roles, right, from talking to you, but you're partly the SME, so the subject matter expert when it comes to the F&A side, the finance and accounts function and working with accounting firms, but you're also there to help them, right? You're the customer success lead as well in a lot of cases. So, and what I'll do is I'll pass it over quickly. And they're an outsourcing firm. They've been around for a number of years, and again, a good size. They'll go into more details about those pieces, but I'll pass it over to you, Gavin, to start us off, just so that everyone can get to know you guys straight from your mouths rather than mine.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lawrence. Appreciate you having us on. And as you mentioned, I did bring one of my team members with me. I like to come to strengthen numbers, right? So Gavin Polizzo, Chief Sales Officer at Cloud Staff. Cloud Staff's been around since 2005, and we're really more of a access to a community from a recruitment standpoint versus a managed operation from an outsourcing perspective. And one of our key focal points is around accounting. So excited to talk to you more about that today. And I'll I'll pass over to Rodel to introduce himself.
Thanks, Gav, and thanks, Lawrence, for having us. So my name is Rodel Murillo. I am the success manager for finance and accounting for Cloud Staff. Yeah, basically helping out in our sales team and our recruitment team, and making sure that we have the right profiles and the right staff for our clients.
Perfect. So, and you mentioned it briefly, Gavin, but can you explain a little bit more about the model that you guys have? Just to give everyone that perspective, you mentioned around the talent sourcing model, right? So what does that really entail, just to dig into it a bit?
Yeah, and I'll try and keep it in the most common basic of terms for folks in case you're new to outsourcing. But what we do is, obviously we are an entity based in the Philippines. We have offices in Australia as well as the US. We also have offices in India and Colombia as well. And that gives us a nice global footprint to do recruitment for any type of role that our clients may have. We've sourced over 300 plus different types of roles. But I will say, our main focal points are around accountant roles, voice roles, any sort of back office type role, virtual assistant type roles. And what we do is we work hand in hand with clients onshore to provide them the best service in getting them, the exact type of personnel they may be seeking, whether it's certain certifications, certain backgrounds. And then we go to market to find that individual, and we put those individuals in front of our clients to interview. And then we kind of guide them through the process along the whole way. And if they do encounter one, two, maybe more people that they do like and wish to bring on, we become the employer of record for them, and we work with them to do the background, do their health assessment, and get them set up through the Cloud Staff entity to work solely with the client on a day-to-day basis. Depending on where the client sits, whether it's in EMEA, APAC, or AMER, they work those hours and they focus, as I mentioned, in their individual role for that client.
Rodel, anything to add there that you want to chime in on? No?
Yeah, basically that's the model of Cloud Staff, and what I can say is it's a big advantage versus some of the managed services in a way. You're like focusing on, they're like an extension of your team, and you're building culture. It's like a two-family approach. You have Cloud Staff as really does a lot of people engagement and making sure that they're doing what's supposed to be doing, monitoring in behalf of the client, and vice versa. The client is like building inclusivity, making sure that they're part of the team. They know they're part of the team, and it's really helping out with the model, the structure. Yep.
Now you mentioned the employment of record. So I think in some people's minds, and what they've seen in the past is employers of record handle purely the legal and the payroll side of things, right? But you guys are a little bit different from that perspective as well, in that you do have infrastructure, right? You have management team, you have, again, you're quite a large organization. It's really not like all these people are working virtually as well. I mean, there are options to work virtually. It does bring some benefits as well, because you can access talent pools that you can't otherwise, especially in the Philippines. I know that a lot of people have caught wind and tried it out during COVID, and they want to stay virtual, right? In some cases, right? So we've got to have that balance. But you do have the infrastructure there. So you've got somewhat of a different model, but when we talk about the employment of record, it's very much, it is their team that they're building, right? It's their team, but you can be as involved or as little involved as they sort of need in a lot of cases. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it's funny. We're kind of unique. We're like almost a hybrid of the two processes, right? Because you're absolutely right. We have 12 offices across the Philippines where many of our staff work and reside. We have site managers that exist in those locations. We have cultural aspects in those locations, which greatly help with our retention. Our retention rate's 90% plus. We've got folks that want to stay with Cloud Staff and continue to work with us. And I think it's the operation itself, whether it's the perks box or the cultural events or the 80 plus social groups that we provide, along with the site managers, to kind of keep a good oversight on not just the staff, but also the facility, the security, with both network and physical, that make us unique compared to other like employers of record, so to speak.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about maybe the initial few months and the journey of what it looks like starting with somebody like yourselves? Right. For if I was a firm coming to you, whether I'm a small firm, a mid-sized firm, like, what should I expect over those first 2 to 3 months, right, of having that conversation with you, Gavin, with you, Rodel, to making the decision, I want to go ahead with it, right? What does it look like?
Yeah, I'd say right out of the gates, you're going to get a lot of one-to-one support, meaning you're going to get a sales expert, potentially Rodel as well involved. Some of our recruitment team to meet with the clients specifically to find out what their needs are, to explore other opportunities they may have within their company, whether it's different business units in the firm that could take advantage of Cloud Staff beyond just bookkeepers and AR and AP roles. And then from there, you're going to get the back and forth around the job description to fine tune it so it meets the client's expectations. And then it's us going to market over the course of, let's say, 5 to 7 business days to put candidates in front of the client to interview. We stay with the client the whole way. We participate in the interviews as well. We do screen those candidates as an extra layer. And then, like I said, if they're willing to select somebody, we then go through brief paperwork of our master service agreements and get start dates for the staff and have them go through their background and medical assessments. Really, the whole process is, somewhere between, 3 weeks to 4 weeks from start to finish, especially if we can move the time frame along with the clients. After that first month, they get a dedicated resource as an account manager to stay with them for any sort of onboarding obstacles that may pop up. We work with the clients on what software, what type of hardware they want to have for their staffer, and we provide all that. We work with them on the software licenses, but we also provide all types of hardware, whether it's PCs, Chromebooks, Macs. We can provide that, dual monitors, whatever setup they want their staffer to have. And that can be hybrid, as in partial office, partial home. It can be fully work from home, or it can be fully work from the office. Really at the firm's discretion on how they want to do that. In our offices, I'll also mention, we also have elite security measures. So for example, we have a vault, as we call it, where our staffers cannot come in unless, only they come in with what they have on them. They cannot bring pen, paper, their phones. We have added security within our facility to ensure a tight, lockdown location. So if we have a firm that's dealing with very delicate clients or secure data, we have that extra layer of security. Realize, CloudStaff was built on the minds of our CEO, Lloyd Ernst, who's a serial entrepreneur who started Web Central out of Australia as a search engine. Technology for us is absolutely critical at the highest level. We are ISO certified, HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant. We are a firm that believes in taking the security risks out of the hands of the client and letting us own it. And that's why we manage the PC process start to finish. But after those first 30 days, the onboarding, they get that dedicated onshore resource, the dedicated account manager. So we have customer retention specialists that work with their clients and also help grow those clients over the first 90 days. And then, like I said, we have that dedicated account manager along the way as well. So point of contacts, the firm gets a great deal. And not to mention, we have an amazing program called CloudStaff Academy, which has jumpstart programs and other programs specifically for accounting. If we want to get, some of our candidates added experience around U.S. tax code, or maybe it's just fine tuning some of their skill set within some of the basic accounting principles and GAAP principles. So we have different training programs that we can put together. And actually, we worked with a firm, Whitfley. I think you're familiar with them, Lawrence, and they gave us some great feedback on some of our training modules, where we were able to not only fine tune them to their expectations, but actually tailor them towards what Whitfley wants to see out of their teams come across. So Whitfley being a large firm, we were able to cater to them specifically what training they wanted. And obviously, we're willing to do that for other larger entities as well as we go along.
And again, I'm sure you saw working with firms like that as well, the development from their side as well over time. The investment grew in terms of we had people from the US traveling and vice versa, I'm sure, as the team grew, which again, I highly advise for if people are building a team, that investment has to be there, right? And I'm sure they've come over and done training sessions and vice versa and done sort of employee exchanges. I mean, Rodel, to come to that a little bit, I mean, can you share maybe what are some of those roles that you think that firms, especially accounting firms, but also finance teams, what are those finance roles that they should really look for, and maybe some that they should avoid at the initial stage of getting started with outsourcing, right? Because again, there are certain levels and depths of technical abilities that are there. Yep. That can be easily found. And there are certain ones that, yes, they can be built on. And again, you can find it, but it may be a bit more nuanced, that it's probably not best starting that place, right? Because expectations may differ from results and how long it takes to get used to the process. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, great question, Lawrence. So basically, for accounting firms, normally they would hire for the client accounting services. So that would be the bookkeepers, the accountants. Even for the finance teams that are non-accounting firms, they would normally get accounts receivable or an AP, accounts payable. And for both, they're going to be just an end-to-end bookkeeper anyway. Those are the popular roles that really you can outsource. And even for accounting firms, we can also add tax accountants and sometimes audit. So versus audit, that's ironic because we have a lot of really good auditors here in the Philippines. It's not that more popular versus not as popular as tax accountants, but definitely we have Big Four experienced trained auditors that, like one of our accounting firms, US accounting firms, has hired five team members, and then they really had acknowledged the strength or the experience, and then how capable are auditors in the Philippines. But those that you want to avoid it as first. Because if you're an accounting firm, you want to focus on the client facing, right? So you will transition the legwork or the nitty gritty to the easy to the repetitive tasks. So I guess do away with financial planning and analysis on the financial modeling side of things. We do have those in the Philippines, but you should probably start with a bookkeeper and an accountant and a tax accountant, but not those financial modeling, those with mergers and acquisition. But in saying that, because of our cloud stuff, jobs, our database, we're now getting and sourcing, headhunting for those complex roles. So I work closely with the recruitment team in case we have an accounting firm that does require someone who's a financial modeling experience, financial planning and analysis, a bit of a accounting manager or a tax manager. Slowly but surely, our accounting firms clients are already doing that. But yeah, to answer your question, it's going to be the bookkeepers, the tax preparers, and the accountants.
Now, and is there any, and Gavin, maybe you can chime in on this bit, but is there any specific, let's say, structure? Let's say a firm's coming in and they're, we'll say a smaller to mid-sized firm, right? So they need at least 2 to 5 people, right? I mean, where should they start? Should they go and look for a senior from day one, right, to sort of coordinate and start grooming? Essentially, should they start with, let me get that back end process done, let me put a few junior candidates in place where my expectations really are, let me just get that day-to-day bookkeeping is done? Like, where do you see the most success coming from when firms are doing this?
Yeah, I would say for me, Lawrence, depending on their growth plan and where they want to take it, if it's, let's say you said 5 headcount or maybe even up to 10 eventually over the long term, I would get in a senior, either bookkeeper or senior accountant on staff first so that they can get comfortable with the client, get situated, learn the culture of the environment, and then start to maybe place some junior level accountants or bookkeepers around your senior level individual. If you're looking to go much bigger than 5 heads, maybe it's a team leader or manager that you want to put in place. And we can help with that as well. Matter of fact, we have a great program called Pioneer that allows us to put in a team leader that we endorse at a significant discount. And they work with the firm for 30 hours of the week and 10 hours with us. And we do that with the training aspect from an HR perspective. But the idea behind it is to give a little more backbone in the local environment for their training and onboarding of their staff. And that's something we know is a challenge for all firms whenever they outsource, is who's the on-site oversight, right? Who's going to be watching my people? And we do have on-site managers and staff in our buildings pretty much 24/7 to monitor the teams. But if they're remote or they need someone to check in, time zones are tough, right? Having someone boots on the ground or local, whether it's a team leader or a pioneer or even just a senior bookkeeper to help out is always going to mitigate any sort of churn that you don't want to see.
Now, and you mentioned culture a few times in there. So bringing it a little bit away from the process and what's happening, but just in general culture, right? I mean, and we see there's a decline in, again, professionals coming into this profession, right? Sure. And it's not just necessarily in the US, it's really globally in a lot of places, right? So, and cloud staff is a solution along with a lot of other providers, right? But what I see, you guys are very used to managing a large number of professionals in comparison to the size of firms. I mean, you're 3,000 plus professionals compared to, again, if there were firms here of that size, typically, they're a top 10 firm, right? Yeah. A lot of places from a CPA firm perspective. So when it comes to that and managing large amounts of talents and different people, right? What do you guys do when you see from the external perspective? Gavin, I know you've traveled a lot, just like myself. Like, we travel, we see it, and we understand it because we've traveled and done that. For people that haven't, right? And then there's Rodel's here. You live there, right? So you live there, you live it every day. So can I get both perspectives of that as well? Like what you guys do differently and what you guys think firms could implement themselves in order to build that good culture where you are attracting and having such a good retention rate?
No, that's great. I think Rodel, we're going to tag team this one. I would want you to maybe discuss what it's like onshore in the Philippines with cloud staff, and I can talk about what it's like to be from afar. So, I mean, Lawrence, you hit the nail on the head, right? One of the biggest questions that pop up with any firm, large or small, is, hey, how do I manage this team from afar? I mean, I'm here in the States, or I'm in the UK, or wherever I'm at. I'm not in the Philippines, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So how do I manage this team from afar? Well, let me say a couple of things. One, we provide the technology and platforms to help you have great oversight over your team. If it's a team that's in the office, we can work with you to have a dedicated space or even a suite in one of our spaces where you can plug in, let's say, a large TV with a camera and really have a dedicated line to them all day long, where it's almost like you're talking to them in the next room through a Zoom call. Or if it's someone that's going to be from afar, and maybe they're all work from home folks, we have platforms such as Staff Central and Workbench, where we can track all of our employees, all their activity, the sites they're going on, the activities they're participating in. All of our devices have cameras, so we can, you can take imagery and see what they're up to. So it's that big brother effect, so to speak, when it's needed. But we give you the tools and even the places to insert KPIs to manage that performance and help out not only the staff, but also the clients themselves to have a better relationship. So they're not worrying so much on what's my staff are up to. Are they meeting their expectations each day? So that's one thing. I noticed we lost Rodel. So I'll just quickly highlight what it's like onshore. We did touch on culture a little bit. When you walk into a cloud staff office, there's obviously a high degree of physical security when you enter. But then when you're in the office, I spent 17 years at Verizon, and some of the nicest offices I ever saw were with Verizon. Well, I can assure you, cloud staff offices rival Fortune 10, Fortune 20 companies of the US. They are absolutely gorgeous. We have, Herman Miller chairs, amazing pods and structures you can sit in, quiet areas, places to recreate and congregate, game rooms, things of that nature. And in doing so, it allows teams to really blossom and work together in their dedicated suite space or in their dedicated desk space. And then outside of that, they get whether they work from home or work from office, they have the same employee experience because they're all part of the same community. We have a dedicated TV station that meets with our employees 3 and 4 times a week to give updates throughout cloud staff and what's going on at the company. So even though they're in the client's culture, they're in our culture too. They almost have 2 families, as Rodel mentioned. They get to take advantage of the cloud staff community and the client's community as well. And we believe that that's the secret sauce right there. If you can have harmony between both groups, you're gonna retain your staffer, and you're gonna grow and blossom with you, and hopefully continue to escalate and provide great work for you.
So now, from that perspective, because again, I've heard it both ways, right? I mean, and I think this somewhat comes from understanding of what providers offer as well when it comes to that culture, because at the end of the day, you guys have built something. And again, I see this a lot with the traditional BPO as well, right? Mm-hmm. More so to make sure that, again, an understanding of that culture, because you still want to seem like you're hiring for them, right? At the end of the day, the firm is their employee from a day-to-day perspective. You want to involve them in that cloud stuff, but you also are there. You understand what they need. You understand what they want, right, from the team members' perspective. And that's the idea of that you are providing that support for the firm, not having to know necessarily, but you really want them to know over time. You want them to be involved in those types of things. So, I mean, maybe can you share a little bit about how a firm or what they should be doing over time, right, when they're working with you to really understand that cultural aspect? Because I think it's important for them they don't need to know the nuances, right? But they need to care, and they need to invest in making sure they're actually learning about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is it's very quick to get caught up and say, well, I've got remote staff and maybe I don't talk to them as frequently or maybe don't touch base with them as frequently. But if you're all in the office together, you're always talking to your coworkers, you're always connecting with them. And that piece has to be seamless, whether remote, onshore, doesn't matter. I speak to Rodel once a day, minimum, and he's halfway around the world. I speak to my team at least once a day, if not multiple times a day, depending on where they're located and where the time zones line up. So I think you have to make that motivational impact of connecting with your folks on a regular basis. The second piece is come to the Philippines. Come see their location, come see their office, come see their home. The Philippines culture is extremely welcoming. They love interacting with global clients and global customers, and they will automatically welcome you into their home. You may sit down and have dinner with the family, maybe a little karaoke at the end, but it's a very positive experience that will help you embrace the day-to-day with your staffer and kind of some of the challenges they face on a personal level. And I think it's important to recognize that as well. I also say, set your KPIs and have that transparent communication with your staffer, depending on the role they do. It doesn't matter whether they're an accountant, a bookkeeper, a virtual assistant. Have clear KPIs and a clear structure of communication on feedback and hold them accountable. The Filipino culture is very accountable. They're very receptive to that, but they also want to be told what to do. They want to have a clear diagram of what to do in their role. And I think any client that's on offshore should really have that conversation with them right out of the gate. Rodel, what else am I missing? I'll let you chime in here.
Yeah, you've mentioned essential points, Gavin. And for accounting, as you've mentioned, Lawrence, it's not a typical they're not outgoing. Like accountants are branded as, not like the IT guys or some of the other industries or professions. But to be honest, we as accountants, we work hard with what we play harder. So, and it's beneficial for an offshore team. So you go to the Philippines, you understand the culture, inclusivity, especially not just the Philippines, some other countries as well, where you outsource is you understand their culture and you invest in them and making sure that they will feel like they're part of a team, and eventually they're going to be working as hard as for for the client, for the accounting firm, making sure that as mentioned by Gavin, you have a mandate, you have a structure. They will do their best. We have really educated and really hardworking people, and that if you invest on time, and actually our onboarding team and our account managers will educate the accounting firms as well. It's part of our value add, and we continuously train them or monitor or remind them how you can build the cadence, helping out and making sure that you're building a good team, and eventually you reap the benefits, long-term benefits.
Perfect. And yeah, I mean, 100% across the board, it's you've got to make sure you put in the right reporting, KPIs, standards in place, right? I mean, and it's I understand it's difficult as well. And I work with a lot of different firms that are at different levels of that as to where they are down that cycle. But you have to understand that if you've created a standard operating procedure when you first started, and a lot of people do, but then they never look at it again, right? Things have generally developed over the years, right? And same thing, you're working with new professionals with different skill sets, right? And different levels of expectation, but they're coming in fresh to your firm. So you have to make sure that it's also a transition period of, okay, whether it's over this first 3 months, right? They're going to be at a different level month 1 than they are month 3 to month 6, right? And you'll see that internally, but I think the difficulty comes in that if somebody sat next to you, you tend not to realize it as much because you also have very familiar things you talk about, and the relationship builds a lot quicker in a lot of cases, and you have more things in common. But when you actually start talking to people, you end up start enjoying what they're doing differently as well, and and that becomes part of your culture then. So, and again, there's the cricket side of things. There's different sports going on. I know that one of my team members in the Philippines, like, she goes out and does the dancing. I know that the dancing, the singing is a huge thing over there in the Philippines, and again, she's doing, and it's cool. It's cool to hear about. It's different, right? And again, you don't realize that you're actually that interested until they start bringing it up, and then you're like, oh, and then you have a conversation about it more often than not in a lot of cases. So, but it takes time, right, to build those different similarities. Now, as we sort of wrap up, do you want to give final thing, just in terms of, like, I would love to maybe have you share just about the big conference that you do, because it sounded fun. You've got different things going. And again, it's a huge thing for the cultural side of things. And again, not everyone can do it in the same scale, but it's a cool thing that you are doing to that level of scale to say how you've grown. And that's number one. And then also just where people can reach out to you if they have any questions. That would be great to just wrap it up.
Yeah, Rodel, you want to go first? Otherwise, I can.
Sure. I can probably start from a Filipino perspective.
Sure.
Like Gavin mentioned, Lawrence, Cloud Stuff started 2005. Our CEO was really built, embraced the culture. He really knows, what a Filipino is, and it kind of trickled to the whole organization when we got hired. So from really big year-end parties in the biggest coliseum in the Philippines, probably in the world. Like, nobody does that in the Philippines. I'm from an account. I came from really big accounting firms. We don't do that, so that's really big. To perks boxes in the Philippines, it's groceries. Spam is very popular here. So those little things, and you provide it as an incentive. You can coordinate with the clients and what other things they can add, but we do have a quarterly perks boxes, and it's groceries for the family, because we're a family oriented country, so it's really big for them. It adds to the culture, to the it adds value in the working environment, building the rapport. So those perk boxes are really popular to mid-year parties, and also we have biddings. So we have dream points, like, internally, and you earn that by having a good performance, attending meetings or engagements, and then once you've earned, you can bid for, like, a used laptop, used keyboard, or spam or chocolates. It's those engagements. We have our own newsroom. Like, every Tuesday, we have our newsroom that provides updates to the staff, and those are like what we call traditionally as like just a weekly meetings, or even monthly. But here in Cloud Staff, we do that every week. Like, the engagement is really, really priority, and that's why I think that's our differentiator. Gavin?
Yeah, I would sum it up and say a couple of different things, Lawrence. One is, I've seen the competition in other outsourcing companies out there. I've seen what a managed service looks like, and what more of an employer of record and just the employer of record side looks like. And I would tell firms to, one, do your homework. Dig in, find out what the experience is like. What does the staff say about the client or the company they're working for? Just to put in perspective, we get 400 to 500 new applicants to our website and our job site every day. That's a big testimonial. Where we're located, there may be other, in one of our buildings, there's other BPOs located in the same building, and we're all wearing our Cloud Staff uniforms, which is provided. And they'll say, "Hey, do you have any openings? What's going on what's going on the 13th floor?" And it's like, "Come on over, come on over. We'd love to talk to you." So it's creating that community that people want to be a part of. It's not uncommon for our CEO, Lloyd, to bring visitors to his home in Angeles City for dinner and spend time and get to meet him. The Whitfleet leadership has been there numerous times, and we would do the same for other clients as well. Technology. We believe in having the software and the tools to manage your staff remotely, and the peace of mind of having a secure environment are the two biggest focal points that most clients ask about, whether new to outsourcing or an existing outsourcing or ones that have experience outsourcing. So we take that technology piece and alleviate those challenges right from day one, whether it's dedicated IP lines, whether it's firewalls, all that is in play. Whether you're the largest firm in the world or the smallest CPA in the world, we take care of that. Everyone gets the same experience. I'd also, lastly mention, you'll get a tailored experience with us. We're really flexible. We're not a rigid provider that's stuck in our ways and what we do. We want to work with clients and work with firms on creating a teamwork between us, the staff, and the client to make sure that everyone's winning. For us, if the client is happy and the staff is happy, it's a win-win situation. So providing this, as Rodel said, that culture piece is what we do. Makes us a little bit different than other employees of record, but ensuring that the client has embraced that culture and done it on their end and provided those KPIs and that, the operating procedures and is checking in and spending time with their staff is kind of their responsibility. But we're still there on site to help out. We're still there even from a dedicated resource. I mentioned those dedicated account managers. One of the things they do is check in with the staff and see how things are going and provide that feedback for clients. That's pretty cool. And it helps out quite a bit to kind of, really steer any potential issues aside before it becomes a bigger issue. But I'll just say that tailored experience is something that most BPOs and outsourcers are not offering to clients. And that's probably where we are a cut above.
And then best place to find is probably the website. And again, we'll post this and we'll post the website and whichever email ID that you provide, right? And again, they're very open. Gavin's always available and been always available to have the conversations. And again, he's on the same page from, it's good to educate yourselves, right, on this. And that's the big sort of takeaway is be educated on the different providers available, be educated on what they provide, right? And again, because there are very different models out there, right? So really appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys jumping on. I hope everybody has had a good time on the episode, and we look forward to seeing everybody again on Business Beyond Borders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Business Beyond Borders. I'm Lawrence Whittam, and it's been a pleasure bringing you impactful insights tailored for the modern CPA firm. Remember, the world of accounting is vast and ever evolving, and we're here to navigate it together. For more resources and episodes, don't forget to subscribe and reach out to our experts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your business and explore the limitless possibilities beyond borders.